Good morning from base camp from a very happy Nancy because she slept so hard last night. I'm sure that this little mattress is not very comfortable in normal times, but last night it may have been the best night's sleep I've had in years. I only woke up once and I was sweating because I was under my quilt, and I've got this room like a sauna. Excuse me, but my water is still frozen. I think that's kind of funny that it's been sitting in here in this very hot room for, oh, I don't know, at least well over 12 hours. I mean, like 15 hours, and it's still got ice. But I'm going to pack up here soon, and I've got to get all this chaos in order, get dressed, have a little coffee. And it's 11 degrees right now, so I'm kind of dragging my feet, but I'll get out there, and I'm going to hope to cover, oh, I don't know, at least 15 miles today because I've got a Nero day tomorrow in Fontana. So I do want to cover as much ground as I can. It's about 30 miles between here and there. So it won't be much of a Nero if I just split it in half. But stretch goal would be to get to about mile, well, I don't know what mile it is, but about 18 miles in. So I only have about 12 tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. So I'm making my way out of Fontana. I'm not Fontana, NOC. And it's a long day of climbing, like 5-6 miles of steady climb, and it's going okay. But I'm taking a break to shed some layers because I'm kind of getting hot. But I thought it'd be fun for a minute to show you just the type of forest that I'm walking through. I was walking through snow just a few steps back, and I rounded the corner, and I knew I was on the southern slope of the mountain, number one, because most of the snow is gone, but two, because of the forest floor. You can see that it's mostly oak leaves, and there's some pine needles too. I'm standing beside this gorgeous white pine here. He's kind of little, but he's cute. But a lot of southern slopes will have these pine oak forests, and so that's one way you can kind of navigate naturally, if you will. You know, there's all different ways to do that. There's a great series of books by a man named Tristan Gooley, and he will teach you everything you want to know about natural navigation. But white pines are kind of fun because they're easy to identify. Number one, they have these little bundles of needles that have 5 needles in them. So you can think of the word white has 5 letters. So does white pine bundle. And then I'm going to turn my camera around and show you this pine in closer detail to show you how I can also identify it. So here's this white pine, and you can, if you were standing up above it or a aerial photo of it, you would see roughly these patterns of whorls, all the branches coming off like spokes of a wheel, and each of these whorls indicates a year of growth. You should add about 6 years to the count that you get. If you count it all the way to the top, whatever number you get, add 6, and that's probably a more accurate assessment of its age. But it's just kind of fun to know these things. It kind of makes the forest come more alive when you know more about what you're looking at. So I'm about 4.8 miles in, I think, and it's a gorgeous view up here. I just stopped a few minutes ago to put my microspikes back on because I was traversing some not ledges, but just the side of mountains that if I fell, I wouldn't die, but I'd definitely get hurt. So not worth the risk, especially when I've got this weight in my pack. Might as well put them on my feet and put them to good use. But it's been a day of donning and doffing. Gloves on, gloves off. Spikes are going to go off again, I'm sure, in a few minutes. Jackets on, off. But I'm not complaining because it just means the temperature is warming up. And I think it's even going to be like right at freezing tonight instead of negative with wind chill. So no complaints here that I'm sweating and having to do all this. So I'm having my lunch here at the Stecoah Gap shelter, and had a lunch of cold cereal because I'm not going through my regular meals fast enough. Larry brought me some hard-boiled eggs and fruit for breakfast this morning, so I skipped my cereal but ate it now. and it was yummy. I love cereal. This was not a very unhealthy one, so it wasn't as good as like Lucky Charms, but good enough. And hopefully it's going to power me up Jacob's Ladder, the infamous Jacob's Ladder, which I hear so much about. It's only 1.2 miles, but I think you gain over 700 feet in elevation. So, I mean, that sounds reasonable. We'll see. I did meet a couple at the base of the mountain today when I was leaving the NOC who got 700 miles into a thru hike in 2020 and then had to stop because of COVID. But they said that it wasn't as bad as everybody says. They said it shouldn't even be named. It's that unassuming. So we'll find out. So I made it up Jacob's Ladder. I feel like I need a t-shirt that says that. It actually was not that bad. That couple was right. It's very overrated. I think probably people are just so spent from the long climb out of the NOC, me included, that the last thing you want to do is have another climb after you get to that shelter. And it's not bad until like the last 2/10 of a mile, and then it really pitches up steeply, but it's no worse than Albert Mountain or some of the climbs part of, what I did out of the NOC today. So all in all, not bad. But Stecoah Mountain, this is the summit. It's just gorgeous up here. I love this mountain. I've hiked up here so many times, but I typically start on the Bartram Trail. This is the beginning of the Bartram Trail. It's about 100-ish, I think maybe a little bit longer than 100 miles. It's a great training hike if you want to hike the AT or just go on a shorter backpacking trip and say you've done a thru hike. It's a really beautiful trail and has great association. You can find a newer guidebook, actually, they've just put out to help you plan for it. It's named for William Bartram, who was an 18th century explorer and naturalist and very talented artist. You can find his illustrations of botanical species, and I mean, not just flora, but also the fauna. He also drew some of the animals that he came across, but he was a friend to the Native Americans, which of course was really rare in those days for white settlers to be amicable and, come in peace, I guess. But his nickname, they actually gave him, I guess, a trail name of Puck Puggy, which I like because it means flower hunter. But he's just a cool dude. There's a book that he published, The Travels of William Bartram. I have a very old copy, but I think it's actually still in print. It's a really famous book and well worth your time if you're kind of a nature nut, which clearly I am. But I wish I could stay in camp here. I've always wanted to camp on this mountain, and one time I had come up with the intent to do that, and I saw a big thunderstorm rolling in and got off of it and was glad I did. But I've got miles to go. I got to make 8 more today and get to the Brown Gap shelter to make my day tomorrow more doable. Standing here on the summit of Mount Possible, proving that anything is possible because this is a climby day. There's some short little steep pitches. Jacob's Ladder is nothing. Now on the other side, I will say, if you're going Sobo, that's a harder Jacob's Ladder, I think. But anyway, I've got about probably 4-ish miles to camp and kind of over the climbs, but I know there's still more coming, but Mount Possible's telling me it's possible, right? I hope. Descending down to Stecoah Gap, where there's this massive retaining wall project. I've heard it for like the last hour. I'm pretty sure I gotta cross that road. It's gonna be interesting where I end up crossing and where the trail picks up. Well, at least I'm not making it up. Sounds like it might be complicated. That wasn't so bad. Nice new steps even. So hi from my tent. I am literally camped about 3 or 4 inches from the Appalachian Trail probably, or at least that's where my tent stake is. That was not the plan. After I crossed Stecoah Gap, I had to climb, I guess it was Brown Mountain, and boy, it was a booger of a mountain. It was just straight up and went forever, it felt like. And so by the time I got to the turnoff for the shelter, I was pretty cranky and just wanting to sit down and, take a load off. But I saw Scout, who I met the other day. He's another thru hiker, and he was coming back from collecting water. And he said that the water source was like a quarter mile up the AT further, and then you had to go downhill to get it, and it was complicated. He gave me these very detailed directions. And I thought, you know what? I am not going to go all the way down there and get that water and then hike back up this hill, because I don't want to do any more hills. I had already had 6,100, well, by the end of the day, 6,125 vertical gain, so feet of vertical gain. So that's the most I've done yet on the AT thru hike. And I've certainly done more in other day hikes, but that was a stiff day for right now at the beginning. So I just kept hiking after the water source and found the first spot I could find off the trail. I thought nobody's probably going to pass by here except maybe animals in the middle of the night. Speaking of animals, I pitched my tent, and then I got in it, and I was just feeling around to make sure I didn't pitch it on anything pokey, because it was pretty dark when I was doing it. And I felt this huge hole. It's right beneath me here. I don't know if it's like an animal den. I don't know what it is, but I just hope nobody tries to come out of it tonight, or that I'm trapping somebody in there. But, oops, there goes the phone. Anyway, Larry and Ivy are going to meet me tomorrow morning at Fontana, or not in the morning, but whenever they get there. They're going to park at the entrance to the park, the Shuck Stack Fire Tower trailhead, essentially, and then they're going to backtrack and meet me somewhere on trail. We have a running joke that Larry is now yo-yoing the AT in sections, just 3 miles at a time, because that's what he keeps doing. But I'm really looking forward to seeing them. We're going to stay in Robbinsville because they allow a dog at the Quality Inn, and they only require one night. Fontana Village, you have to rent a cabin for 2 nights, and that's not what we need. So there is a 50-pound limit on the dogs at Quality Inn, apparently, so hopefully they don't see Ivy, because she's north of that. But it's been a good day. It was a tiring day with all the climbing, but enjoyed it. So grateful that I get to do this every single day, and I'll see you guys in the morning.